under a heap of stones. Paul's going to perform a miracle amongst these people. And that's going to invoke these people to want to worship him. Now, instead of soaking up the praise, which would have been a lot easier physically for him, he points all the glory to God. And a serious Christian will realize that he or she is nothing, and that God is all in all and deserves all praise. A serious-minded Christian will realize where the praise belongs. Let's look at verses 8 to 17 here, in chapter 14 of the book of Acts. It says, "And there sat a certain man at Lystra, impotent in his feet, being a cripple from his mother's womb, who never had walked." Never walked. "The same heard Paul speak, who steadfastly beholding him, and perceiving that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, Stand upright on thy feet." Now I tell you what, this is a make or break moment, isn't it? Benny Hinn would not have done this, because it would have been break for him. But Paul, understanding the power that he had no problem in the midst of a crowd telling a man who had never ever walked in his life to stand upright on thy feet. And look what happens. And he leaped and walked. Now what you see a lot amongst these phony faith healers is some guy will have a cane, he's sitting down, and I need Brother Bob, why don't you come up here and help me a little bit. He's sitting down, right, he's got a cane, and the faith healer comes over and says, "Throw your cane away. Get up and walk." So he throws his cane away, and someone, just take my arm there, someone helps this guy, and he's all rickety, and he does this, and he's they set him back down again. That's not what happened here. This guy was in his seat, he was sitting down, he never walked again. Paul says, "Get up," and the guy just leaped up to his feet. Ready to go. Whoa, this feels good. That's what this walking's all about. None of this, I need some help. Two guys on each side. This guy leaped up, started walking around. That was a miracle. And in verse 11, when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voice, saying in the speech of the Lycaonia, "The gods are come down to us in the likeness of men." They thought they were deity. They called Barnabas Jupiter, and Paul Mercurius, or Mercury, because he was the chief speaker. Then the priest of Jupiter, which was before the city, brought oxen and garlands unto the gates, and would have done sacrifice with the people. Which when the apostles, Barnabas and Paul, heard of, what'd they do? They rent their clothes. They tore their clothes in anguish and ran among the people, crying out and saying, "Sirs, why do you do these things?" They were about to worship these men. They were going to have a festival to these men. Now, human nature would eat up every bit of that. Hey, they think we're gods. Man, they're going to throw a party on our behalf today. Let's relish in it. He ran among them and says, "No, don't do that. What are you doing?" Paul says, "We are also men of like passions with you. We're no different than you are. We preach unto you that ye should turn from these vanities unto the living God, which made heaven and earth and the sea and all things that are therein, who in time past suffered all nations to walk in their own ways. Nevertheless, he left not himself without witness, in that he did good, and gave us rain from heaven and fruitful seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness." What did Paul do when all the praise was being heaped upon him? He redirected it to the one who was worthy of it, God himself. A serious Christian doesn't want the credit. A serious Christian realizes that we are nothing more than just a frail tool that God chooses to use for his honor and his glory. I don't care what kind of talents you have. I don't care how great you think you are. You and I are nothing more than a frail human tool that God chooses to use Not for our elevation, but for His honor and for His glory. Whatever you do in life, if you are a serious-minded Christian, you'll say, you know what? I want God to get all the glory. 1 Corinthians 10:31. Whatever you do, whether you eat or drink, do all to the glory of God. There's nothing special about any one of us. You can't make yourself an inch taller. You can't keep your hair from going gray unless you color it. But if you go natural, there ain't a thing you can do about your body in some areas. Your eyes will get worse generally as they get older. Your hearing will start to go. A lot of things will start to happen as you get older. Now, you can control a lot of other things, but some things, hey, nothing special about us, are we? We're just frail human beings that God chooses to use for His honor and His glory. Let's be serious-minded Christians. The day demands that we as Christians are serious in everything that we do. Let's close in a word of prayer.